Welcome. Welcome to Ward 13. John is not here this evening, and I'll be sitting in. My name is Mike Lopez. I'm with the Disabled American Veterans. This show will be about the Disabled American Veterans and a lot of good questions. And if you want to call in on this show here, it's 640-3091. 640-3091. You can call in at any time. We'll try to answer your question as time goes on here. Right now, I'd like to introduce the Department New Hampshire DAV State Commander, Andy Patterson.
Good afternoon.
Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Andy, where you come from, so the audience knows.
So I'm originally from Western New York, and I'm a veteran of the United States Army and retired of 26 years. I currently reside in New Hampshire in Candia.
And would you like to introduce your guests, and your guests can tell a little bit about themselves?
Absolutely. So today I have with me two of our members, as well as officers of the DAV. First, I would like to introduce Jesse Welch, our National Service Officer for New Hampshire.
Thank you. My name is Jesse Welch. I'm the DAV National Service Officer here in New Hampshire. I started with DAV about 7 years ago out in Denver. I transferred out here about 4 years ago. Wanted to live somewhere in the cooler weather in the beautiful woods, and we found that, so we're here to stay. And we're very privileged to be able to help the veterans in our community.
Andy, could you give us an overall view of the Disabled American Veterans?
Yeah. Well, first I wanted to introduce Rick Baraz.
We've passed him up.
Forgot all about him over here.
Okay.
And Rick Baraz is one of our volunteer drivers at the VA Manchester, as well as he's one of our local chapter commanders.
Good.
Yeah. As Andy said, my name's Rick Barazes, and I'm a Coast Guard veteran. And, the Coast Guard is service above self. And I just continued that. I lost some of my friends when I served, and I'm doing this in order to remember them. But I was a business owner here in Manchester. I've been in Manchester since '79, and I do my best to help my brother and sister veterans out any way I can.
I'll go back to the overall view of the DAV. A lot of people don't understand the DAV. They say DAV what? Could you help out the audience and us to understand it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. So the DAV, or Disabled American Veterans, was established in 1921 after World War II, as veterans came back from war with several injuries, to include loss of limb. As you know, back then they had a lot of chemical exposure, PTSD, and mental issues, and there really wasn't a lot of help for them here or advocates for them. Even though the VA had been established, there wasn't somebody to speak on their behalf. So the DAV is a nonprofit charity that provides a lifetime of support for veterans of all generations and their families. We help over 1 million veterans in positive, life-changing ways each year across the nation. Annually, the organization provides more than 240,000 rides to veterans attending medical appointments, and assist veterans with well over 160,000 benefits for claims. In 2020, DAV helped veterans receive more than $23 billion in earned benefits. The DAV services are offered at no cost, I say again, no cost, to all generations of veterans, their families, and survivors. DAV is also a leader in connecting veterans with meaningful employment, hosting job fairs, and providing resources to ensure they have opportunity to participate in the American dream their sacrifices have made possible. Across the country, we have over 1,300 chapters, more than 1 million members across the country. DAV empowers our nation's heroes and their families by helping to provide the resources they need and ensuring our nation keeps the promises made to them.
Now tell me, Andy, in New Hampshire, we're in New Hampshire, you're speaking nationwide, DAV. What does DAV mean in New Hampshire?
So in DAV in New Hampshire, we have over 6,000 members, and we have close to 100 active members that volunteer and to help out. It's veterans helping veterans, like Rick said, helping your fellow comrades. Our two main focuses in New Hampshire are in line with the national mission, which is our service officer program, which Jesse is going to talk to a little bit about later, and our transportation network, and keeping the vans on the road and getting them new vans to get the veterans to their appointments.
And that really leads right into Rick then. I guess we're talking Rick. You got a big job transporting a lot of veterans. You want to go into that program?
Sure. Before the pandemic, we brought a lot of veterans into the VA. We actually drive out to their house, pick them up, take them to their appointments, and then take them back home. And this is a big help because a lot of our veterans, they can't drive for whatever reason. Maybe they're elderly, maybe they have a condition, maybe the wife is gone with the car. They have to work or whatever. We have 11 vehicles right now, and we try to have those vehicles on the road every single day. But since the pandemic, we had to cut back and we had to make certain accommodations. So we went ahead and we retrofitted all the vehicles to make it safer, not only for the veteran, but also for the drivers. All of our drivers are volunteers. Most of them are veterans, so they understand what the veterans are going through. And we also bought sanitation equipment so we could go ahead and disinfect the vehicles as well to make sure everyone is safe. We've cut down the number of passengers that are allowed in the vehicles. That does put a little bit of a dent in what we can do, but we're always looking for volunteer drivers. And the volunteer drivers, you'd be surprised at the rewards you get. And they may not be monetary, but when you help someone out and they're very, very grateful for what you do, and you hear some great stories, that just would go unheard of. And during the pandemic, we were still active, even though we couldn't drive our veterans to and from the VA. We still went out with food deliveries. We bought a bunch of air conditioners during the hot summer we just had and delivered them to veterans that the heat affected their health. And so, we've been very, very active. This year, we bought 2 new vans, and we have on the schedule to buy a couple more if we can. And let's see, we have a hospital service coordinator who kind of coordinates all this. And so if you're a veteran and you need a ride, we ask that your appointments be between 8 and 11 o'clock, meaning 11 is the start time of your appointment, only because our drivers routinely get up at 4 and 5 in the morning and are out on the road to the far reaches of New Hampshire. And last year we drove more than 165,000 miles, and we logged more than 10,000 hours of volunteer time, and we serviced almost 10,000 veterans, and that's 10,000 veterans times 2 when you take into account that we're driving them home as well.
How many veterans do you provide rides for, you said?
We did about 9,700.
And 9,700 here in New Hampshire?
Here in New Hampshire alone.
And to the VA?
That's right, Mike.
Okay. And you mentioned about drivers. Could you elaborate just a little bit about that? But how do you become a driver?
Well, the first thing we do is you come in and you fill out a form. Just everyone fills out a volunteer form at the VA. And then once that's done, they're going to do a background check. That's SOP nowadays. And then after that, they'll go ahead and schedule a physical for you to make sure that you don't have any medical issues that would endanger any of the veterans that you're driving. And they'll go ahead and check your driving record, and then if everything looks good, we go ahead, bring you in, we train you on our procedures, because we want everyone to know what the proper procedures are and be courteous to our veterans, and make sure everyone is safe.
Now, tell me a little bit about a veteran needs help, what does he do? How does he get it right? What does he? Who does he call somebody? Get scheduled?
He can call our hospital services coordinator, and his name is Stan, and if you call 603-624-4366, that's the VA, and then just the extension is 6427. And Stan will go ahead and get your information. He'll verify your appointment, and then see if we can schedule you for a ride.
Now, you mentioned something about vans.
Yes.
What do you mean by vans? What are you talking about?
We have several. All of our vehicles have been subsidized by Ford. They've been our partner for many, many years, and it's a great working relationship. So we have some low step-in height vehicles for the vets that have problems with their legs or use walkers. We also have 8, 10, and 12 passenger vans. And before the pandemic, we would fill those on a regular basis. And now we're restricted as far as how many we can put in a vehicle. But it's convenient. The driver will call you the night before, tell you what time they're going to pick you up. Now keep in mind that this is not a taxi service. This is more or less a shuttle. So they try to bring people in on a timely basis and take them home on a timely basis. But because we have so few drivers, you have to be flexible.
These vans must cost quite a bit of money. Who pays for them?
This year alone, we spent about $100,000 on vans. And who pays for it? Well, it's through donations. We have fundraisers throughout the year. We sell the Forget-Me-Nots on Memorial Day, and we also attend many, many different events. We call them pop-up events. So we might be at a car show or a fair, or we might be, on the side at a rest area. And people are very generous. They understand what being a veteran actually means and what it actually costs and sacrifices. So most of the time the public is very, very generous. And of course, veterans are also very, very generous because they understand it's warriors helping warriors.
Andy, did you just give 2 vans to the VA, or?
Yeah, so the department or the state portion and the volunteer portion of the DAV is responsible for coordinating to buy new vans or whatever vehicles they need, because we also have a wheelchair van over there at the VA as well. So like Rick said, we do fundraising. We do get some large donations from different donors throughout the New Hampshire area. This year was kind of unique because we did have the COVID pandemic, and we couldn't do any fundraising. So we couldn't go out there to the fairs, and we couldn't go out there and solicit to businesses, and a lot of businesses were hard hit by the COVID. So the donations were kind of meek. So we did ask for a CARES Grant Act from the governor, which we were awarded, and all that money went to buying a new van to accommodate for the reduced number of people we can put in each van, as well as the sanitation equipment that we had to buy, and accommodate the vans to be safe for the future that we're looking at for probably the next couple of years of COVID pandemic safety.
Well, very good. We're going to get back to some questions, but I'd like to talk about Jesse here. We don't want to let him out. He's a big questionnaire
part of
here,
what
and
we
I'm sure
do.
he has the answers. And I want people to take this number down, 640-3091. If you got a question, call it in. We have the expert here on disabled American veterans, and we're going to get into that right now, Andy.
Yeah, so I want to reintroduce Mr. Jesse Welch. So he's our National Service Officer, and he's going to tell you what he does. And Jesse's a veteran of the Marine Corps himself, so he's a veteran helping veterans. And he serves us well in New Hampshire, and if you ask anybody, he's probably the best in the business that we know. So, Jesse, if you could tell us a little bit about what you do, and we probably have some questions for you afterwards. Thanks.
Absolutely. So our primary focus in the National Service Office is to provide free legal representation to the veterans and their families so that they can get the benefits they've earned through the VA. We will help them identify what disabilities they may have that could be due to their military service. We'll advise them on the type of evidence that's needed to file a successful claim. We'll prepare all the forms, we'll file them. Many of those we can do electronically now. When VA does make a decision, we'll review it, make sure that it's done right, and if it isn't, we'll take the appropriate actions to get that rectified. And if necessary, we'll file an appeal with the Board of Veterans' Appeals. In the past 12 months, we've conducted over 2,000 interviews. Most of those have been done over the phone because of COVID, obviously. We filed over 500 new claims in the last 12 months, and we've argued almost 300 cases in front of the Board of Veterans' Appeals, both in written pleadings, which are written legal briefs presented to the board, as well as live hearings in front of Board of Veterans' Appeals judges where we represent the veteran in front of the judge.
Very good. You talk about a lot of veterans out there have been out of the service for quite a while, and they start getting different medical problems. And I know I hear a lot, well, I remember back in the days a friend of mine said, I'm a Marine, not to pick on you. And they're proud and they served, but now they're a little older and things happen. Oh, it's been too late. I've been out of the service for 20 years. What do you say to that?
It's never too late. It's never too late. Their oath of enlistment doesn't expire, and neither does their right to apply for their benefits. At any point in time, any veteran has the right to apply for their benefits, obviously sooner better than later for some of the younger veterans that are coming out and retiring now, but no matter when the veteran served, they still have the right to apply for the benefits.
And you also hear people out there saying, well, I only spent a year or two in that. What do you say to that?
So depending on the nature of their service and the disabilities they have, the length of their service may not have any impact whatsoever on their ability to file for the benefits. A veteran does not need to have had a full retired career to file for their VA disability compensation benefits. And we can help them figure out all the different parts of the evidence they need to have a successful claim, but there's no minimum amount of service required, and there's no deadline that it has to be filed for.
And what about the situation where the veteran has died and the surviving spouse? What is the situation there? So people don't know.
Yeah, sadly, many widows and widowers, frankly, had no idea that they were eligible for VA benefits when the veteran passed away. Sometimes this might have been 20 years ago. It's important that all the veterans' families know that when the veteran passes away, or if the veteran has already passed away, no matter how long ago that has been, they should look into their benefits that they are eligible for as survivors. The surviving spouse, if there's a surviving spouse, can apply for benefits in certain circumstances. Other members of the veteran's family can apply for benefits. Sadly, about once a month we come across a situation where a veteran passed away many years ago, and we can get the benefits for that surviving spouse now. But all those years went by where they could have been collecting the benefits and just didn't know.
How about when somebody comes to you and says, well, I tried and they denied me. Is there a course of action somebody can take?
Absolutely. We will review the cases. We'll figure out what the reason for the denial was. We'll figure out what evidence is needed to reverse that. Ideally, that should be done within a year of the denial to preserve effective dates and some other things. But honestly, at any point in time, no matter how long ago the denial was, with the right evidence, any of those decisions can be reversed.
And how does one contact you if they're out there and they want to just find out what the situation is and whether they qualify or not?
Yeah, they can contact us just by calling our local office here. It's 603-222-5788. Again, that's 603-222-5788. That phone is answered Monday through Friday from 8 to 4. There is no voicemail. If you get the greeting, it's because we're talking to another veteran, so please call back. They can also go to DAV.org. It's very simple. Go to DAV.org. In the upper left corner, there's a button that says Veterans Need Claim Help. You just click it, fill in the blanks, hit send, and it'll instantly appear on my screen. All of our calls, most calls are returned within 1 business day. All of them are returned within 2 business days.
You can call in right now and ask the question, 640-3091. And we have the expert here to pass on to you. And Andy, what's the situation? What do you think of the membership of the DAV? How does one become a member of the DAV?
So there's a couple ways. That's a good question. There's a couple ways you can become a member. One is actually the website that Jesse just mentioned. Going to www.dav.org, and you can sign up to be a member there. You can actually go in there, and on there you can locate a chapter or a DAV next to you, or where and contact one of the officers to help you to become a member. If you see us out in the community at one of our pop-up tables, like Rick said, at a car show or a fair or anything like that, then you can just walk up to us and say, hey, how do I become a member? The fee for membership is a one-time fee, and it's right now it's a flat rate of $300 unless you're over 80 years old, and then it's free. And you can pay that in small payments of $20 at a time, or a one-time fee. But as soon as you make your first payment of $20, you're a lifetime member. And there's some great benefits to that. The DAV is a great advocate for veterans, not only at the state level like we do at the State Veterans Advisory Council, where I sit on a monthly meeting. We talk to our congressional delegates and our governor. But at the national level, the DAV is the front runner for VA benefits when it's talking in front of the Congressional VA Committee, as well as the Senate VA Committee.
I don't know if you mentioned it before. How many chapters we have?
Right now we have 7 chapters across the state of New Hampshire. And our state headquarters just moved and opened up a new location here in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Where's it at? What do you do there? Hours, people?
So one of the things we did, kind of an initiative with the opening up of the new state headquarters, is we opened up a veteran resource cafe, and we purchased a lot of technology, computers, and printers, and a big screen TV, where veterans can come to there, and I'll give you the address. It's at 212 Coolidge Avenue, Manchester, New Hampshire, and we're there weekly, 10 to 4 Monday through Friday, and 9 to 2 on Saturdays. And you can come there and get whatever help you want. If you need help with a claim, have questions about your benefits, if you need help with your taxes, you want to use the computers for a resume, or just use it for your if you're going to college and you need a computer to do a term paper on, it's there for you. We also have a little kitchenette there where you can get a cup of coffee and a snack. So come on down. Again, it's 212 Coolidge Avenue, Manchester.
Rick, tell us a little bit more about these drivers. I think it's interesting that we want to talk about them. I want to go over the qualifications and how many drivers you got, and do they have to work one day a week, all week, or hours, or how's it work?
Well, we're very flexible as far as age goes. As long as you have a clean driving record and you're healthy, you should talk to us. As far as hours go, we're very, very flexible. I mean, maybe you can only give up one day a week, or maybe one day every other week. And then there's some people that enjoy it so much that they drive every day for us. As I said, you meet a lot of great guys. You hear a lot of great stories. I remember that my second time driving, the second day I drove, I met someone who served during the Korean War, and he actually hit it off with a very, very famous baseball player, Joe DiMaggio. And this guy was a cook, and Joe DiMaggio was a pilot, and this guy would always see to it that Joe got a meal when he came in from flying. And so Joe DiMaggio invited him and his wife to be his guest when he got home from the war. And he hit a home run for him, signed a bat, signed a ball, gave it to him, and he and his wife and Joe and Marilyn Monroe went out on the town that night.
Wow.
And so when I drove up to his house to drop him off, he's yelling out the window to his wife, "Get the bat! Get the bat!" And he was very, very proud of that.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
guess they had quite a pen pal relationship for a number of years. And so you meet all kinds of people, you know, and you hear some very, very interesting stories.
How many drivers you got and how many you need?
Well, we can always use more because our drivers are getting older. And so some of them are slowing down. They want to take a little bit more time off. But right now we have, I want to say, 8 active drivers. We've got a school teacher that helps us out during the summer. And she's not a vet, but her dad served in the Air Force. And she knows just what it is to be a vet. So she understands the cost and she wants to give back. We also have 2 other drivers that are not veterans, but their father served, their uncle served, maybe their brothers served, or their mothers for that matter. And so you don't have to have a connection to the military at all. All you have to do is love your country and understand what it costs to keep this country as free as it is. And it's one way to say thank you. And we can, right now, the need is exploding, if you will, especially with COVID. And because of the cutbacks in how many people we can put in a vehicle, if we had more people, we could probably find more vehicles if we needed them.
How many vehicles have we given to the VA? And maybe Andy, you can, how many vehicles, money-wise, that's their cost?
Well, each vehicle cost anywhere from $50,000 to $85,000,
Wow.
Depending on how we're equipping the vehicles. We do have the highest one was, of course, our wheelchair van, and it was about $85,000 after we had it equipped with all the wheelchair lifting equipment. In the past 2 years, since I've been the state commander, we've donated or provided over 4 new vehicles. And just the cost of the vehicles was close to $200,000 of what we've provided for the veterans.
Wow. A lot. I mean, when
It
you
is,
look at
Mike.
when you look at the project of getting the vans to the VA, speaking of the vans, VA, who takes care of them?
Well, what we do is after the state gives us the vans, or I shouldn't say gives us the vans, what we do is we present those to the VA. And the VA takes ownership of them, and they provide the registration and the gas cards so that there's no cost to the drivers at all. Okay?
Good.
And so they take care of the vehicles for us. They put tires, maintenance, oil changes, gas, all of that into it. And we provide the labor. And if you drive more than 4 hours a day, they also give you a chit so that you can have lunch or breakfast on the VA. It's kind of their way of saying thank you. I mean, it's not much, but it's something. And it gives you a great opportunity to meet more veterans. And, you share a cup of coffee with them or maybe a sandwich, and it's very, very interesting. And, a lot of times these vets are there and they don't know that they should put in for something. And just in talking, they say, I was over in Vietnam, I was exposed to Agent Orange, and now I'm having all these weird symptoms. So what we do is we put them in touch with a chapter service officer, who in turn puts them in touch with Jesse, and Jesse runs with it from there. But the drivers are really the frontline liaisons, if you will, of our service. even if they're not a service officer, they will go ahead and pass the name along to a service officer, and that service officer is very, very good about getting in touch with the veteran and getting a little bit of information and then sending it up the chain to Jesse.
Oh, that's great. Jesse, tell us what your experience are some of the pitfalls that a veteran thinks he has. I know one of the things that Congress is working on now is the burn pit in Iraq, and you've got a lot of Iraq and veterans that were over there. Maybe you can elaborate where that stands, some of the pitfalls, and are people afraid to come to you or give you the information? Or
Well, I think a lot of times what we find is a veteran is they're reluctant. They're just reluctant to ask for help. They think that there's another veteran that's worse off, or they think they don't deserve it. And regardless, there is always going to be another veteran who is worse off. That doesn't take away from the disabilities that this veteran has because of their service that they provided. One of the things that we find and we hear a lot is they've just been denied so many times they give up. And sometimes they think that if they're just the squeaky wheel, if they just keep filing, eventually it'll get granted. And that's truly not the case. The claims will get granted when the right evidence is provided. So a lot of times we'll take a veteran that's been filing over and over and over again for years, and we'll direct them to get them the right evidence and then have a successful outcome. So just getting the veterans to ask for the help is half the battle. Kind of to build on what Rick said about the drivers being the front line, the chapter service officers are the front line for our office, basically. And those are the folks that, a lot of our veterans that we help, they want to help, their brothers and sisters in arms. So they want to, find out how they can do this type of service work. And the first step there is to, number one, they have to join DAV and become active in a chapter, and then their chapter commander can recommend them to the department commander, who can then recommend them to me for certification as a chapter service officer, which, like Rick, is a certified chapter service officer. So they go through training and retraining every year. There's a lot of technical stuff that goes into it, and then their job is to funnel the veterans and screen some things and get them to us so that we can get a successful outcome for them even after many years.
I think you have a great system that you run. Some of the other don't have the training, and I know you provide training to the VFW and whenever you get an opportunity, or the American Legion, and we come together and learn quite a bit. I've been to one of your classes, and it's a great thing to be certified. Now, certification means what?
So certification for DAV purposes means that they've been, again, they're members, they've been certified, they've been recommended by their chapter commander, their department commander, and then we train them and indemnify them. The indemnity is a big part of that. So with this process, if a mistake is made that ends up costing a veteran benefits, a certified chapter service officer is indemnified personally so that they don't wind up, frankly, getting in trouble for something. So that if a mistake is made and there was no foul play, it was just an error, then there are programs in place from our national headquarters to take care of that veteran so that they don't actually miss out on anything. That is completely different than just my buddy is helping me out.
Oh.
Because unfortunately, as technical as this business has become and as rapidly as it has changed, simply submitting the wrong form can cost a veteran 6 months of benefits. Submitting an out-of-date form could cost them over a year's worth of benefits.
It's a very, very serious situation. Then,
Right.
If you have I call them guardhouse lawyers out there who think that they know and tell a veteran something, that's bad.
And by no intention do they're trying to help us, but sometimes the best intentions kind of go south. So one of the biggest things that we stress in our service officer certification program is the necessity for them to get the veterans to us quickly. We don't necessarily know where certain deadlines may be. There may be no deadlines, but if you've got a veteran that's been in the system for some time, there may be a deadline out there creeping up that we have to react to. And once the veteran appoints us as the representative, again, everything we do is free of charge. They are not required to be members to get our free legal representation. It's encouraged, it is not required. Once they appoint us to represent them, they fill out a specific power of attorney that is for VA purposes only. It allows us to have access to their full VA claims file. We can see things that have gone on 20, 30, 40 years ago. And we can see things that are happening right now today in real time and react to that and, take the appropriate actions. Unfortunately, their friend who's been helping them out along the way just doesn't have that type of access to the information that's evolving as we go.
Well, you run into people who sort of don't give you the whole story, and try to help them. If you're not a certified person, a DAV certified, you could be at a VFW, you could be at American Legion, and give the wrong information to that person. So the best advice would be to give. What would your best advice be to somebody who's trying to help somebody?
Get them in contact with us quickly.
Right.
It is as if they're some, and what's crazy is we've got veterans in their 90s that are on their smartphones with no problem at all. But if somebody's in front of a veteran that struggles with the technology, they can use their own phone and go to dav.org. Up in the left-hand corner, they can click Veterans Need Claim Help, and they can put in the veteran's information. They don't have to put in anything protected, just name and telephone number and click Submit, and it'll pop up on my screen, and I'll call them back. And that one step of getting them in contact with us can make all the difference in the world. And the faster, the better.
And how do they contact you again?
So 2 ways. They can call the office, the local office here, 603-222-5788. Again, that's 603-222-5788. If you get the greeting, that means we're talking to somebody else. So just try again. Or you can go to dav.org. There's a button in the top left-hand corner that says Veterans Need Claim Help. You just click it, fill in a couple bits of information, click Send, and it instantly appears on my screen, and I'll call them back. Again, most calls are returned within 1 business day. All calls are returned within 2 business days.
Rick, somebody wants to be a driver.
Best thing to do is, you can talk to any driver, first of all. If you see us at an event, at a pop-up event, as we call it, maybe it's a car show, maybe we're at a rest area or at a fair, go ahead. Ask us. We'll tell you all about it. If you're in the VA, just stop in at the DAV office, and Stan's more than happy to guide you through the process. Or if by chance Stan is out driving someone because someone needs to really get in, you can always stop at the volunteer office.
And I noticed that you also keep track of the people who volunteer and do work for the DAV. What is all that about?
We have something called the local Veteran Assistance Program, and LVAP for short. And we keep track of veterans helping veterans. And for that, it's very important to do that, because we present this to Congress when we're telling them what we do and how we serve our veterans. And when you have hard proof that, say, for instance, Andy here put in 86 hours last month helping veterans out, well, that proves that we're not just blowing smoke. We're actually doing the work out there. And the DAV recognizes that. So they give you little gifts or awards, if you will. They don't amount to much, but let's face it, everyone likes to be recognized for helping.
Andy, I see you write a lot of notes down there, so you got a lot to say.
I just want to caveat on my English on what Rick said about being a volunteer, and not only volunteering to be a driver, but we have other ways you can volunteer. Pre-COVID, we ran bingo for the veterans nursing home at the VA. And that's twice a month we did that. We do birthday parties for the VA nursing home, as well as we're in a close partnership with the New Hampshire Veterans Home, where we go up there and we do cookouts, and we cook for the residents and do barbecues, pizza parties, among other things. If you'd like to volunteer, and even with the drivers, besides what Rick had put out, you can also go to DAV.org, the site we've all been talking about today. Is all that stuff. It's one of the best websites out there, and you just go in there, and I think on the front page it says, "I want to volunteer." And like Rick said, you don't have to be a veteran to volunteer. If you just want to help a veteran, go to that website as well.
Well, maybe I can get Brendan to put that website up. You want to give it to him again?
Yeah, it's www.dav.org. www.dav.org. And talking about like partnerships, because all our stuff that veterans need might not be, going to the service officer. Or they might not need a ride. They might need some furniture for their house, or their house might have had a fire, or everyone has different tragedies or different needs. So we've partnered up and tried to gather as many resources we can to help out veterans. We have a strong partnership with Homeland Heroes, Julie Weymouth down in Salem, who provides furniture for veterans for their new homes, or if they just need an appliance because their appliance, their washer broke down or their refrigerator, broke down, they can contact Homeland Heroes. I want to really say that New Hampshire is a great place to be a veteran. Out of all 50 states and territories, New Hampshire has done it right. The state veterans office is under the state adjutant general and the National Guard, and we know how the military does it. Why not have military people taking care of military veterans? And that's one of the reasons why Governor Sununu put it under that umbrella, because it just made sense. We meet once a month, the State Veterans Advisory Council. And I know Mike Lopez, he meets, he's one of the members, myself, and it's all the leaders of these veterans organizations, and we get together and we brainstorm, and then if we need something or we want to suggest something to our congressional delegates, we have that open forum to let them know, hey, this is what the veterans of New Hampshire are thinking about. When I get the information from Rick and he says, hey, I think that we should have this, we can go right to those congressional delegates, and some of them have taken those suggestions that we've had and took them to Congress, and they're now law and have helped the veterans. One being is the payment of payments for medical bills when the VA went to because we don't have a full service medical, so you can go out to the community here, the community health program, and there was a problem with one of the vendors paying the bills. Well, we brought that up to one of the congressional delegates, or one of the congressional people, and they brought it to the VA committee, and they actually put out a law that rectified that situation. So, like I said, New Hampshire has really done it right, and if you're a veteran, I'd be happy that you're here in New Hampshire, and because you're going to get the care and your needs taken care of.
Very good, because there's a lot of veterans out there, like you mentioned, the State Veteran Advisory. We got 22 different organizations, and we all know what's going on, and we learn every month of different situations, and we've solved some of the problems, and we give an annual report to our chairman puts together, we approve it. It goes to all the representatives and the governor as to what the veterans are doing in the state of New Hampshire. I do want to go back to benefits. Some people look, well, I don't need the benefits, or why do you get benefits? I'll give my version of it. It took a long time for the DAV leadership, membership, the American Legion, VFW, to fight for veterans, and they still fight for veterans benefits today, you know. And I always tell an individual, it's not the case that you not need it now. You might need it later. So why not do the paperwork now? And you want to elaborate a little bit on that, Jesse?
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as a claim for VA disability compensation, there is a little confusion about what that means. It does not mean that a veteran is completely unable to work, or in what they might think would means completely disabled. It simply means that they have a medical condition that's diagnosed, and it it gets in the way of them earning a living, even if it's only to a small degree. It doesn't have to be totally disabling. It could just, keep them from doing certain jobs, or keep them from earning as much money as they maybe could without that disability. So VA disability compensation is graduated in 10% intervals from 10 all the way to 100. And depending on the level of severity of that disability, will determine whether it's just a tiny amount of compensation each month, a moderate amount, or a decent amount. As time goes on, as we get older, those disabilities get worse and worse. Those residuals get worse and worse. And it's very easy to file a claim for increase at any point in time. The sooner the original claim is filed following their separation from active duty, the easier it is to get the individual condition service connected. Once that individual condition is service connected, even if it's only minor now, 10, 20 years from now to file an increase is a very simple thing. If you wait 10 to 20 years to file the first claim, it's going to be a real uphill battle, because you're basically going to have to establish that all the time that took place isn't the reason for that disability. So sooner than later.
Would you say something like an example would be, let's say right now you have a small hearing problem, you got a 0%, and now you're 20 years down the road, and you have a bad hearing problem.
Yep.
That's what you're referring to, I presume, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Something like hearing loss, something like an orthopedic issue. When you first come out of the military, your knees probably hurt a little. 20 or 30 years after the military, they're more than just hurting. You might need new ones. If you file those claims early on and get those conditions service connected, even at zeros or very low numbers, down the road, should they need additional help, they're already service connected. It's a very simple thing to file an increase. There's even convalescence periods where VA will provide 100% compensation for a short window of time while you're recovering from a knee replacement, for example. And again, the sooner the better. It's never too late to file the claims. But again, with everything we do, the sooner we do it, the better. There is no advantage to delaying in anything that we do.
That's good. Andy, we have a local chapter here, DAV Chapter 18. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I have a couple things with that. One is we are in Manchester. We are the Queen City Chapter 18, and we meet at the Sweeney Post. Everybody knows where the Sweeney Post is, over at 251 Maple, and it's the third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. we meet. And one of the great things is we just elected a new commander who I think will be doing a great job for the chapter. He's already done a great job as the senior vice commander, and that's Rick. So congratulations, Rick.
Thank you, Andy. We have a great team at Chapter 18. Andy is as the adjutant, so that's no small thing. He's been a great asset, because by him also being the state commander, we have a direct pipeline. And, Andy knows I don't hesitate to call him if I see anything that we can do to help a vet out. And, we talked about the LVAT. Well, you may not think about it, but, just doing buddy calls or checking on your neighbor next door, and he's a vet, especially during this pandemic period, because some of our vets are housebound, and who knows how they're really doing. And that simple telephone call or knock at the door may be the difference between him being okay or her being, all right and not. We had an incident not too long ago where I had driven this veteran in the past, and he lived up in the Lakes region, and I was driving by his house, and I said, I'm going to stop and see Jerry and just check to see how he's doing. Well, it's a good thing I did, because it was during the summer, and he's really affected by the heat. And, Andy had been talking about maybe seeing what we could do as far as air conditioners goes. So myself and one of our other active members, Joe Ardano, we went out and kind of did a survey about who needed air conditioners, and we went out and delivered them, and in some cases put them in. But it's also, we have a member of our auxiliary, which is also a very important arm of our organization, and we have one lady who, she lives alone, and she loves the human contact, and she cooks and delivers food every day to homeless vets.
Wow.
She puts in about 96 hours a week doing this. I mean, not a week, but a month doing this. And one of the other members of the auxiliary, she collects clothing, and she goes around to the homeless vets and makes sure that they have warm jackets or maybe light summer clothes or whatever they need, and she tries to fulfill their needs. So LVAP, Local Aid to Veterans, is almost anything you can think of. And Chapter 18 is a very, very active chapter. We're looking for active people that want to get involved, and we invite you to come in, and we're going to be meeting tomorrow night. So 7 o'clock, come on by the Sweeney Post.
Which is good, because a lot of people in Manchester remember the one on Silver Street. We don't have that, or we don't have
No,
a
we
hall.
don't. Yeah.
We meet in the hall, we do our business, and we go out and make sure that the donations and the help is there for the veteran. But you hit something that I want to, homeless veterans. If you know one, get them to Jesse, get them to somebody, get them to the VA. Try to convince them. Well, we know we have a lot of veterans out there with mental health and stuff like that, so that's a whole new ball game. But if you're out there, a homeless veteran, get them to the resources that we have, the DAV, the VFW, the American Legion, anybody, but get them to the VA and they will take care of them.
Absolutely, Mike.
And that's very important, because we've got to be, how many, what is it, 20 homeless veterans die a day?
That's veterans in general. So the suicide rate of veterans is 22 a day, and that's something near and dear to my heart, because I've lost some close friends to suicide because of mental health and PTSD issues they brought back from. We've been in a sustained combat since 2001, since the 9/11. So I would be remiss if I didn't share the crisis line, and if you know somebody, a veteran that needs help, give them the crisis line. Share it on your Facebook page. We do a lot of social media. We have a Facebook page and all that stuff, and we share a lot of stuff. So share it with anyone you can, because everybody knows a veteran, and one is too many. The crisis line is 1-800-273-8255, and it's press 1 for veterans. I know that it's in the works where they're going to be doing a smaller, like 3-digit number, and it's going to be coming out soon. But right now it's 1-800-273-8255, and you press 1, and that's the Veterans Crisis Line.
Very good. Jesse, we're going to go down the line here, because we're getting short here down to the wire. You want to look at the camera there, and you want to tell the audience how to get help and how to contact you, please do.
Yep, absolutely. Again, it's never too late. Whatever benefits you think you are or are not entitled to, you will never know unless you ask for them. Again, you can contact us at 603-222-5788. Again, 603-222-5788, or simply go to dav.org, and in the upper left-hand corner, click Veterans Need Claim Help, and fill in a few lines and click Send. And we will be back in touch with you, if not 1 day, 2 business days at the most.
And if you need a ride, or you just want to volunteer, call Stan at our DAV office in the VA. He's there every day, 603-624-4366, and his extension is 6427. That's 624-4366, extension 6427. And remember, freedom is not free. Veterans have paid the price.
Andy?
Yeah, so I just want to say a couple thank yous. One, thanks Mike for inviting us here today and having us on so we can share the mission of what the DAV does locally in New Hampshire for our veterans. I'd be remiss if I don't have a shout out to our auxiliary members, and I say members because it's both husbands and spouses and children are auxiliary members, and what they do to support our organization. Whether it's cooking for our meetings, helping out at the fairs and stuff like that. Really a great team here in New Hampshire, and they've always been there from when we asked them to be. And lastly, I want to say for all the veterans in the state of New Hampshire, I'm a fellow veteran, and I'm very humble in what I do. And we don't always ask for thanks, but I want to sincerely thank all of you veterans, spouses, husbands, children, widows. Thank you for your service, and thank you for standing behind this great country.
Very good, very good. A couple of things I want to mention. Disabled American Veterans, under the leadership of Andy, we'll be putting a memorial at Veterans Memorial Park on Memorial Day, the 31st. Manchester Veterans Council is going to put on a motorized parade, and we'll meet at Veterans Memorial Park, and a memorial in memory of the 50th anniversary of Vietnam veterans. We ask you to come on down, wear your mask, be social distance, all that stuff. We're used to that stuff now, so we can do it. And they'll be putting up the monument there, and we'll have a good time that day, remembering our veterans that have given their life. Along the same line, that on the 30th at the Bosquen, at the memorial service at 6 p.m. this year, they're going to have a ceremony up there. So take a look at that on the website and all that stuff. It's going to be remembrance, and the difference between Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and I'm glad to see that everybody's starting to get the issue. Memorial Day is to remember the deceased veterans that have left us. They left us, give us our freedom. Some of us came back, some did not. And Veterans Day is for the people that are living, and so now we're going to start doing the right thing, going into the cemetery. So I think that everybody done a great job. We're down to the wire, so Jesse, I want to thank you for all you do for the veterans. I know personally some of the things have you done, and if anybody can do anything, Jesse can do it, and I wish we had more Jessies like you. Rick, I don't know how you do it. You do a great job with the trying to get the drivers and going out there every day and picking them up and bringing the veterans in. I've seen some of them come in. They're very happy. And Andy, a young man being the state commander like you, who's done a tremendous job for the disabled American veterans.
Yep.
It's unfortunately that's only a 2-year position, right? Could we be there forever?
Would I be there forever? That's the question
But anyway,
of the day right there.
Position every 2 years.
I do want to thank John, who is the host of Ward 13. I appreciate him allowing me to sit in for him, and I do want to thank everybody. And don't forget, the telephone numbers, contact the right people. If you're interested in driving, or if you want to talk to Jesse, give you that website number that he given you, or call a DAV, one or the other. We thank you very much, and it's been an honor to sit here and talk about it. We could probably talk hours about the disabled American veterans, but we're limited time. I thank you very much.